Alright guys, so today we're going to work on finishing up our front base plates for the cage and the FRS, as well as we're going to start probably bending our A-pillar bar that goes to the main hoop. That will basically complete the whole mounting of the cage to the chassis, at least, just mocking it up, and then that will let us finish up things like the dash bar, the door bars, and a couple diagonal bars in the main hoop and everything like that. But this is pretty much the last base plate we're going to build, I guess, besides the anti-intrusion bars, which you guys will see later. You guys have seen the base plates I did in the back of the FRS. It's pretty straightforward for the front. Same method we got going on here. This is what I got. This one's a little bit more complicated compared to the other ones, but we basically just got our pieces of paper cut out that I measured inside the car. This is our top piece, side, and the front back. Just makes a rectangle. I'll show you in the car real quick. It's gonna be hard one-handed, but I'll do my best. So, as you can see back here, we have our rear base plates that we did in another episode, as well as the back ones. Now we have to take a tube from here all the way across here, right here, down, and somewhere in this area. I chose kind of right here because the way the floor is designed, there's only really like 2 good mounting spots unless you're getting real crazy and making pieces that dip into here and stuff. So I figured it'd be the easiest just to put it right there. And what I'm basically doing is we got our piece here, and then there's gonna be the side piece. Just we're gonna box it up. Trying to give myself enough room here for the dead pedal as well, just because when you're driving you kind of want some room to like put your feet over here. You don't want to always be on the clutch, so trying to keep that in mind too as well, just trying to make it as low profile as possible. And the main reason here we're making it not mounted to the floor like we did over here, instead of just like putting a piece of plate here, is we're raising it because it's a little focus for you guys. We're raising it because we need to drop the cage down to weld it. So what I'm going to do is we will fully weld this little box together out of these templates once we cut out of metal, but we're just gonna tack it to the body just like we did all around here. But we're not gonna fully weld it into the body because when it comes time to weld everything, we're going to knock that off, and then the whole cage will drop down. So that's just why a lot of times you see like higher base plates here on a lot of unibody roll cage cars. So that's what we're gonna work on today, and we'll see how it turns out. It should be pretty simple. The only thing I'm really worried about as a beginner to this stuff is this main bar over here. It looks kind of complicated because if you see, you gotta bend here, which is on a weird plane, and then you gotta bend it at a different angle here to come like at the ground. So that'll take a little bit of getting used to, I'm sure. I'll figure it out and I'll explain it to you guys. But okay, so a little update on the base plates. I screwed up a little bit. Basically, what I didn't realize is this isn't completely straight for some reason. It's at like an angle, which in the car it looks straight, but once you got this little piece mocked up, once you put that there, I mean, there's a big gap. So what I need to basically redo these side pieces, and that's no big deal, but trying to get the right angle, it's kind of hard. The typical way I do it is just like cut it, try to match it, and then I realized I have this tool. It might help you guys out. So this is a contour gauge. I got this a while back. It's pretty nice for like sheet metal work. Basically what you do is it's just a ton of like things that move back and forth when you push up against something. So I just put it against here, right there, and then now I have a perfect thing to trace on my template. So I thought that was just a quick little tip I could give to you guys to hopefully use. So now it's gonna be perfect. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm basically replace just the side parts on this box I'm building here, and we'll get all good.
All right, guys, so I just got the passenger side base plate all cut up. Cut out all the 20 gauge steel, and we're moving over here, and I've got it all mocked up basically. Just took a flap disc, got all the seam sealer off here so I can just get as close as I can to like the curvature of the body. But that's where I have it right now, mocked up. Basically just gonna take the welder, put a couple tacks right in here, just so I get it to stay. And then here's the top piece that'll get on there. But basically just gonna get it all tacked up first. We'll move it off the table, get it all fitting good, all sanded up, and then we're just gonna weld it. Here's the other one. I don't know if I showed it inside the car yet, or if I've taken that video yet, but then here it is, basically fits right here. It's a little crooked, so I'm gonna try to just grind down over here to get it to sit up a little bit more perfect. That way we don't have to grind the tube at an angle that comes down, you know, so it just can sit flat, a little bit easier, less work for me. So yeah, I'm gonna get this base plate done, and we'll weld it up, and then after that we should be ready to work on some bending some tube. So we'll get that done. All right, after a lot of welding and cutting, they're done. That's that side, and that's the passenger side. They turned out really good. Really happy with myself building these. So I got that one pretty level, and I fixed this one a little bit too, so they're both sitting pretty level. It's not the end of the world, but it just makes my life a little bit easier in the future. So these are in here now. I went in through some primer on the back of these as well. We're not going to permanently mount these, so it's not that big of a deal. What I'm going to do is throw like 6 tacks on this thing. So one here, one here, one here, and then the same on the other side, just so it's sturdy and not going to fall off. Like I said a million times, we're going to knock these off eventually to drop the cage down the road. So just want them in, I just want them sturdy, not being able to move, but I don't want to like screw myself over and make myself spend like an hour on each one to get it, the tacks off so I can take it off. So I want it to be fairly easy to take off, but I mean, not the end of the world. So, and like I said, this is gonna come off again, so we don't need to prime this yet. I'm just gonna wait for ease of use later. So we're gonna tack these in. Okay guys, so just got one of the main side hoops done. Starting to get too much footage of it. It's really hard to do, and I made a couple mistakes, and I didn't want to just go off making you guys watch me make a ton of mistakes. So I figured I'd show you how to do it first before I start showing you how I did it. Basically, what I did here, I was watching how a lot of other people do it, and this is a good way. You basically just have to make a template because it's really hard that the two bends are like on different planes. So if you bend this one straight, and then if you were to bend this one again the same way, it'd end up like over here, which is what you don't want. And I should start off by saying a big main factor of this is visibility in the car. You can tell like a not so well made cage by how big of the dimple die gussets are here. A lot of people put big dimple die gussets, which people think are sick, but it actually just takes away from your visibility a lot. So if you pay to get a cage made by somebody and you have those, it's not actually that good of a cage, because if you're sitting here and you have your side hoop like right here, with the big 2-inch dimple die gusset, I mean, that's going to take away a lot of your visibility, which is a big key factor in me when I was making this. So I've got it even like tucking, the way it sits right is it will tuck and touch actually right here and right here, which is physically the tightest I can almost get it to this A-pillar over here. So what I ended up doing was so I have a couple like pre-made bends. This is what I recommend doing if you have a bender. Just start making a couple pre-made bends like 20s, 30s, 40s, with all the dimensions of where to start and end the bend. And you just basically use that and you like put it up here and you just kind of get a good idea of what's gonna fit good. So for me, that is a 20-degree bend for the FRS at least. And this is a 60. So it's pretty simple. And then what I ended up doing was I took a couple scrap pieces of metal and I put them in the bender, bend like a 20-degree bend with some length over here. So I could just get it to butt up against here and I just cut that to length, okay? And this is just a template, remember. So I'm gonna bend a full piece here that's not put together. But basically what I have, this is 2 different pieces here. So I put this in a piece of angle iron, channel locked it together and welded these 2 together so it's perfectly straight. But that is my first bend, and then so I got that fitting good here without any of that there. So I was like, okay, that's a good, it fits good. And then I needed to make the rest of this here. So, and then I held up a 60 degree, tried to figure it out, saying it was gonna fit good. So then I left some more here, made this little template, and then it was actually like this long, and then I just cut it to fit so it's perfectly the right length here. And now I have a perfect template that I can use to measure the offset and angle, which I'll show you. But yeah, the only other thing I might change about this template, at least, this is a 20-degree bend. I might make it like an 18 or something like that, just so I give myself a little more room on the final piece to be adjustable, because I am noticing that it's not sitting perfect right now. I have to use like both my hands to do it, and I always can't do it to film. But my headroom, I'd like just a little bit more headroom. You don't want to be hitting your helmet on your side hoops. I mean, that's not fun. So it's not really going to be an issue at all, because where I sit is like more off to the right over here. But just like between, if you can see, it is a little close to like right here, where if I can just get even like a ½ an inch more, that'd be perfect. So if I raise that like a degree or 2, I should get like a little bit more clearance over here. But besides that, I mean, here's how it looks. I'll go out from outside. You can't even tell it's a caged car pretty much from the outside. That's how you know you're doing a good job. But yeah, man, it's real tight. So that's what I got left with. And then right here is where I'm going to be making my own dash bar. So I'm not going to be using the stock one. So I'm putting it in this place to, make my own bar. Where it might be a little bit different if you're building a cage in FRS and you want to keep the factory dash bar and everything. But I'm super stoked with how this is turning out. I am going to pop this out and I'll show you how to measure the offset in the bends. That way you guys can make it one piece, and I'm going to try to bend one continuous piece now as my after my template was done. So that's what we'll get onto right next. What's up, guys? Just got the side hoops done. They're not tacked in place or anything yet. Only one's notched, but I'll show you how I got it. I'm really happy with how I got it. They're both real tight. Both of them got pretty exact, like they're almost exactly the same. It gets a little tricky. I don't know if you saw in the video how much I showed it, but just bending it has a lot of thinking to it. I mean, you can bend one the wrong way as this template, but oh, sorry, wrong template, as this template, but as you see, the way the car is designed is they have to go at different angles. So the template I made was for this side, but I had to bend it at a different angle, the opposite angle for that side, and it just, I don't know, it really hurt my head, so it took me a couple tries, but I finally got it. Super happy with how it turned out. This side isn't notched yet, so it's gonna come back a little bit more and get a little bit tighter. Went and notched this one off camera. Fits real tight. Let me turn on the light. Fits real tight. It actually sits up here a little bit more. I just gotta push it up, but yeah, it's kind of hard with the way this roof is designed. There's a big cross member here, so it's kind of, as you can see, the bend is actually even touching that, which is like really strong. As my goal here is I'm going to be able to weld the cage itself to the chassis, which is like what you want for a cage. It's what's going to make it the strongest. So it physically can't go any higher, which kind of limits your headroom a little bit with the main hoop release. So, but I mean, I got it as good as I can be, as good as I can. And I've been looking at a ton of other people's cages, and they're all kind of the same here with the FRS. You can't get it much higher than this. But yeah, it's almost in place. We're gonna, once I get the other side notched over here, I will put these up, just tack these in place, put a couple tacks down here as well. And then we'll work on getting our dash bar in. I'll have to do some measurements. I kind of want it like close to where the old one was. I'm pretty sure it will be fine just to run a straight bar here. I'll have to check with the dash, but shouldn't be an issue. If it is, we'll put a slight bend in it so it puts the bar back here a little bit more, but I don't think I'll have to do that. And after that, we'll have to work on getting our roof bar in, which I think we're gonna have to put a little bend in it to kick it up here, because if you just want a straight bar here, you're gonna lose a lot of visibility, which I don't really want. So I'm gonna try to put a little bend in it and tuck it up here a little bit better, so you'll see that as well. That's what's gonna happen for the rest of this episode, and we'll hopefully be able to finish up just like the 6-point part of the cage. So after that, then things should move pretty quickly. The other hardest thing I have to do, I believe, is just the door bars, which is like the bending I think I have to do. So my plan here for the door bars, which you'll see in a little bit, I want to slant them here and then just go straight, and then we'll run a straight bar at the bottom. Pretty simple design. There's a couple different ways you can do it. There's the X bars as well, where you have the X's. That just seemed, it gives you a little more easier to get in the car. But to me, I just personally like the look of just the flow of just like a bar that comes down like this. And the X bar, I think it would be a little bit easier to get into the car, but it also isn't as protective on the side as 2 straight bars would be. So, and the rules for forming the drift are you just have to have 2 straight bars, or 2 bars on both sides with, I think, at least 2 or 3 supports in them, just to brace the 2 together. It's pretty simple for the rules, nothing really crazy. But as you know, for drifting, your biggest impacts are probably from the side. So I'd like to just get myself as much protection as I can. This car is still kind of a street car. I still take it on the street, so I still want windows. Whereas if like this was a pro like car or whatever, I would just cut out the doors. That's why you see a lot of cars with the doors cut out, and they'll actually do NASCAR style, where the bars actually come out into like the door well, which is great because it gives you a lot of elbow room, but you can't have windows. So I want my goal here is to get the most amount of elbow room as possible. You don't want to be smacking your elbow on that cage because that would suck. So I'm probably just gonna, I have the door panel off over here. I gotta take it off over here, and I'm gonna be making my own door cards eventually, but I want it to just like literally physically freaking touch this, because to give me as much room possible. So I'll see what I can do with that, and I'm sure you guys will see. But I believe if you're gonna follow this these bends, I guess, I believe this is a 20. I think I said 20 degree earlier. This is a 27 degree bend. Okay, 27, 59, 60, same thing. And that's what I did there that's what worked best for the FRS. So maybe you guys can use some of the measurements if you're building your own cage in FRS as well. So, yep. Alright, so I know I explained how to make your template for your side hoop, how to get it on the same plane. Because if you notice, one bends this way, one bends this way. The way you do that, they make a thing called a rotation gauge. I don't have one, I'm not using one, but that's just a way, if you can get that tool, it'd make this a lot easier. But basically what a rotation gauge does is it uses a electronic level like this, and it just basically locks in the spot, so it knows whenever you turn the tube, it knows how many degrees you're turning it in the die. But the best way, so this is my template here, and this is how I was doing it. So we'll start, say you have your 60-degree bend on here. So we'll turn this, let's get it in there. This is at the 60, okay? So, alright, actually, it's kind of hard to explain, but the way Alright, so I know how to explain, I know I said I was going to explain how to do your side hoops on different planes here. So if you notice, this bend's going this way, and this bend's going this way. It's pretty difficult to realize in the bender how much you need to turn it to get to bend perfectly. And they make a tool for that. It's called a rotation gauge. I don't have a rotation gauge. Basically all it is just a piece of metal that goes on here, and then you use an electronic level like this. This is what I'll be using. And it locks it on there, and it just tells you how many degrees you rotated the tube. So that way you know, okay, maybe I need to rotate my tube 16 degrees, and that's when I need to bend it. The way I was doing it, it seemed to be working, is you put it in the bender. So you basically, say I want to make my 20-degree bend here. And this is before I bent it, so it's just a straight piece right now, okay? The way you would do it is this piece out here. So this is like the regular plane is at. You take your digital level, and I was just using it, and I was just getting it right on the center here. So we'll flip it this way so you can see better. But you get it like right here, and then it would tell you a degree. Like for me, it was like 24 degrees on here, and that's when I knew that I was at the right spot. So you would turn this to a certain degree and I would stick the template in there first. So I'd stick this template in there, lock it into the 20-degree bend. So that's where I knew I needed to finish. And then I would go over here, realize, okay, that was 24.4 degrees, okay? So then I would take my tube that I needed to bend, put it in there, rotate this to 24.4 degrees, and I would know that's the right plane. Tighten the die, tighten the tube so it's locked there, then bend it, and it'd be perfect. I'd also just double check. What I would do is another method of checking it is I would take my level and I'd put it all the way across from here to right before it hits the die, and then I'd put this on there as well. And for me, that was like 16 degrees. So as long as this was within spec of 24 to 25 degrees, and this was around 16 degrees, I knew I was right in the right spot to bend to be on the right plane. Okay, so I went and cleaned up all the notches, took the mill scale off of every piece with a nice surface remover, so nice, easy to weld. I did all the corners in case, so I can weld it to the chassis later on. I'm gonna go take a flap disc now. I'm gonna take all the paint off of the spots where the cage is gonna touch so I can weld later. Just cause it's easy to do now before, excuse me, before we get the cage in here, you know, so. Cause once you get the cage in there, it's gonna be a pain in the ass trying to get all this shit off. So I'm just gonna clean up here, and over there, and we'll weld it in. Alright, so I just wrapped up the dash bar. I didn't really get too much footage of it. It's pretty simple. It's just a standard tube with 290 copes on them. But
here, it is. One thing with the cage is the supports are a little bit further back than this factory dash bar. I bolted in here before, and the tube actually sat like right here before, so it's about, I mean, a good 3 inches forward. I checked with the dash up there, and it shouldn't be a problem. I'll just have to cut some, but you already have to cut the dash anyway to fit in with the cage, so that'll be cool. The main reason I'm doing this is because I am switching to a Nissan S13 rack, and it's hydraulic instead of the electric setup with the FRS. And since I'm doing that, I have to basically redo the entire steering setup. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a custom steering column from like Woodward, and basically I'll be getting rid of all of this. And those steering columns, they mount to the bar. They mount to like a bar, so you just make like a special thing for it. So that is what I'll be doing. I actually might even have to move this. That's why I'm just leaving this tacked in for now. It depends. I don't have my steering column yet, so it kind of just depends where I want the steering wheel at. In hindsight, I should have probably waited to do this, but I just wanted to strengthen up the cage a little bit while I'm working on it. The next thing I'll be working on is this top dash bar here. So I mean this top roof bar. So I think I'm gonna throw a tiny, maybe like a 15-degree bend in a piece here just to kick it up here, and then we'll run it across. But we'll figure that out. I'm gonna make a couple templates for 15, like 10 degrees, stuff like that, and we'll see how they fit. And then we'll get a bar up here. The goal here is just to get rid of the least amount of visibility as possible. So the higher I can tuck it up, the better. Roof bar is done. Ended up just doing 18-degree bends here and here, and just notching it to fit properly. And it's fitting pretty good. I got it all tacked in place. I even had to just mallet up there to get it to fit really, really tight between the two side pillars. But here's basically the front of the cage is done now. Got that main bar in there. As you can see, I didn't lose any windshield clearance at all, so I can see perfectly out of the windshield, which is one of the main things I was trying to do, as well with the side hoops. Didn't want to lose any visibility, so I think I achieved that pretty well. That's gonna stay in place. This might end up moving later as soon as I get my steering column, but it's just tacked in place, so it's not really hard to move. The next thing we're probably gonna move on to is just getting a bar for door bars in, just so we can get the bottom bar in at least, and then we'll work on getting this in. I'm kind of gonna push that off as far as I can, because once those are in, it becomes a pain in the ass to get in the car, especially when you gotta do this main hoop diagonal still. So we're gonna see how that turns out. That's what we're gonna working on next. All right, quick little change of plans. I decided I'm just gonna finish up the main hoop because once I get the door bars in there, it's just gonna be a pain to crawl in there a ton. So this is the main diagonal. I had made a different one before, but I ended up scrapping it because I wanted it to be a little bit better. I'll show you how it fits real quick. I'm still going to be doing the whole 6-inch thing from the radius up here, just because of headroom. With the FRS, like, unless you tuck your main hoop back really far, here is just really tight with headroom. So I just marked a spot like 6 inches there, and we're going to move this back. I can't, it's hard to show you with hand, but I'll just tack this in place real quick, and then we'll work on harness bars, just getting that done. That way all this is done, and I don't have to like put the seat in here to test everything with the door bars, because it's gonna be tight. So that's what we're gonna do.
All right, so it's been a minute before I've caught you guys up, but I've got the main diagonal done, as well as I have the harness bar mocked up, and I'll show you how I did that. It's real tight with how my seat is, but there's some distance there. What I did was, like I said earlier, I believe I just got it level. It's actually a little bit higher too, so I can drop the seat down. The only reason that is because I might end up dropping the seat down a little bit more, depending on what my helmet clearance is here with this bar. If it's a little close and I tap my head on it, I'm just gonna lower this down a couple more. So I got it level right now where it's fitting good. So I don't know if you see the level back there, but it's perfectly centered. And then I just got a 45-degree notch over here. I'll go to the other side. The passenger one still needs a little bit of trimming up. It's not perfectly there yet. I'm gonna weld this one up first, and then, you know, we'll attack this one, but it's pretty close, you can see. So that's kind of what we got going on here. And then that should conclude the back half here. And then we can just have our door bars, which we'll probably cover that in the next episode, because this one's probably a little bit long. But right now, I'm gonna get the seat out of here. We're gonna tack this up, and we'll finish these 2 bars here, and probably end it for today. All right, boys, it's done. Pretty proud of it. That's how we're looking right now. I got the harness bar all tacked in, as well as the diagonal. So the back of the car is done now. The only thing left is the door bars and the intrusion bars, which is probably what I'll cover in another episode. But damn, that came out good. It's just crazy, because this is just like, it's so satisfying building this thing, because I mean, they all start off as just like straight pieces of metal, and you just got to do everything yourself. And it's crazy how you can just turn something like that into something like this. I'm sure this isn't the best cage out there, but it's pretty good for me, so I'm pretty happy about it. The reason I did, a lot of people were saying just go straight to the corner for the diagonal. Yes, it's stronger. I just did it strictly for seat clearance wise. If you notice the bride I have, it tilts back a lot. So no, my head wouldn't hit it if it was here, I was realizing, but it just like, I didn't like it, so I just pushed it over to the 6-inch requirement there. So we're all good there. It did make it a little tight over here for the harnesses, but there's still plenty of room to get a harness. Right here, we're exactly level with the harness bar, so it's perfect. So if I'm probably gonna end up, for my passenger seat, I gotta pick up another bride, and I'm just gonna drop it all the way to the ground. So my passenger I can fit big people in here, so, because this is a pretty tight cockpit right now with everything. But yeah, I'm super stoked. Back came out pretty good. I was gonna throw another rear support in, make an X back there, but I am like out of tube, so I'm trying to get this is all I have left, is this one piece and these other random pieces here. I'm gonna try to get the door bars done with just those, but if I can't and I have to order more, then yeah, I'll probably go in and do another bar in the back, maybe, just because I think it looks cool, and I mean, it adds a little bit of strength as well, especially in a rollover. So it's not necessary for Formula Drift or anything. This is all you need. And I'd also think I'm going to, if I have enough tube, I think I might throw just one roof bar right down the center, just because if you were to like flip and hit like a boulder or something like that, this would just crush it. So it's not required for Formula Drift or anything, but just for peace of mind, I think I'm gonna throw a bar here to here, just one down the middle, nothing crazy, away from the head. But sheesh, man, this thing looks sick. Came together pretty fast too. This is about, I think I got the tube in like November, and right now it's end of December, beginning of January. So I mean, about a month. Just working on it after work and everything, and it's turned out really good. I'm really happy. So next is the door bars, and we're almost done.
Ooh.